Okay, so we're now left with the prizes, and the Hearing Aid Industrial Research Consortium has kindly given us some money that we can hand out in prizes for the different systems. But before doing so, we should say that that everyone has done well. But to remind you of this slide that John showed earlier, that the HASP scores for the unprocessed averaged 0.172. The baseline did only a little bit better than that, and all of the systems that were submitted managed to improve HASP scores a lot more than that. So it's really kind of the best of the best to get the prizes. And another thing that's worth emphasizing is that I mean, after the CEC1 challenge, we were told that we hadn't really made it challenging enough, and we stepped up the difficulty a great deal by rather than simply having reverberation and a single interfering sound source, we had multiple interfering sound sources, reverberation, and movements of the head, which meant that a static beamformer would have a more difficult situation. And despite that, everybody has managed to achieve great improvements. So there are two sets of prizes, but we're only able to give the set of prizes for the best HASP scores at the moment. And the reason for that is, I think John mentioned it earlier, that when we analyze the results from the listening tests, we initially do it using a speech recognition system, and then we do a more exacting measurement using human listeners who will check what the listeners who took part in the listening challenge actually said, to make sure that the transcript is what the listener actually said, rather than some mistake from the automatic speech recognition. So we've yet to do that stage of the assessment, and so the final results are not yet ready for the step 2 evaluation. However, the bronze prize for the HASP goes to the Orca Incorporated entry. We achieved a HASP score of 0.784. The silver prize goes to the DRCnet entry with a HASP score of 0.801. And the gold prize goes to the WAVLab entry with a massive HASP score of 0.966, even going to signal to noise ratios of -12, which kind of astonished us. Okay, so there is the second stage prize, but as I say, we can't officially announce that yet, but we can show you, and I think John has already shown you, what the provisional listening scores are based on the automatic speech recognition system. And you can see that all of the systems are still producing quite good performance in actual listening tests. So HASP is a reflection of the real world. And I think Brian asked a question earlier about whether it was a little bit circular, that the systems were training using HASP and then being evaluated with HASP. Well, they do actually get evaluated by human listeners as well. And it appears that the ultimate output is actually still doing the right thing. So we'll be able to announce the final results once we've done the human transcripts of the listeners' responses. Okay, so looking forward, there are one or two other things. There will, of course, be a CEC3, and Trevor has talked a little about how we'd like some input on how to make CEC3 a new challenge. But in the meantime, there's also this extra little challenge, which is extremely similar to CEC2, but it's based around the fact that we have a special session at the ICAST meeting with 5 slots for the people who can achieve the best HASP scores in a challenge that's very similar to CEC2. And the submission deadline for that challenge is the 8th of February. So that's the next upcoming thing that we're organising that people can enter. The information is there, and it'll be on our website, where you can find it on our website. It's advertised there. And then beyond that, there is the prediction challenge. So for those of you who may not be familiar, we've got 2 parallel challenges where we have the enhancement challenge and the prediction challenge. And the idea is that the 2 should be able to feed off each other, where the prediction challenge produces new and better ways for people to automatically train their enhancement algorithms, and the enhancement algorithms will produce appropriate input waveforms for the prediction challenge to predict how well things are understood. There's another, there's a tiny URL link there which will introduce you to that challenge. And it remains to say thank you very much for coming along. There's quite a lot of stuff that's been coming up in the chat. Is there anything that we need to address? This is just people cheering.
I was putting links in for what you were saying, John, because it's easy to click on the chat.
Okay, I didn't have time to read it as I was going. Okay, so thank you very much for everybody for coming, and we'd like to encourage you to engage in all the feedback mechanisms about what we've done and what you think we ought to do in the future, and engage in the future challenges. And then that's that. And then I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks again to everyone who turned up. Yeah, on that last slide, there was a Google group. Anyone who's not signed up already, if you sign up to that Google group, you'll get posts about any upcoming activities, discussions about Clarity and so forth.